So let's ask my rock stars, what's happening, Bronwyn? You've seen this many, many times before. Can Susan survive next week? Obviously, net zero is critical to that, but what are your thoughts?
There is the difficulty that Susan is the first female leader, and no person who follows her in is going to be one to have seen to have assassinated the first female leader. So what we're seeing is the power plays. We're seeing those people who were left out of the administration first, and those people who want a bigger role, and other people who are finding their numbers and finding where it may happen. So I think we'll see a bit more of this for quite some time, and they're going to have to find a solution that will allow dignity to prevail. Because once they settle the question of getting rid of net zero, which has to happen, and then they can start to attack the government instead of each other, then they'll be able to find a solution about how everyone can emerge with a certain amount of dignity and they can go forward.
Warren, you and another rock star, Jacinta Price, won the Voice campaign very much through your efforts and your intelligence and your personality and your arguments above all. Net zero is the new voice, isn't it? Or it could be for the Liberals, do you think?
It is the new voice because it affects every level of Australians' economy and social life. Once you get the rumblings that's happening within the party room, this is within the party room, then that's a big, big problem. And then also, I've been around the country, like yourself, in a lot of the Liberal Party functions in Western Australia, Victoria, New South Wales and so on. The rumblings are there in the membership. So what miracle they come up with this discussion about the net zero meeting has to be workable, otherwise they're finished.
So, Bronwyn, there is a kind of timetable. There's a meeting next Wednesday, then there's following next Sunday. There should be the following Sunday week, there should be a party room meeting to endorse the agreed position. Are we dragging all this out? It's not a difficult decision. You're either in or you're out.
It's not looking good. But if I can say this, the people who are in favour of keeping net zero are the same people who voted yes in the Voice. So it's interesting that that the real preponderance of world movement is away from net zero. Every piece of evidence you see, whether it's the majority of countries that haven't bothered to tell those people in the Paris Agreement what their targets are, people are moving away. Even Bill Gates coming out, and yet we've got Bowen and Albanese. They're together like twins. Who are just determined to push on with a piece of ideology, which is going to send us bankrupt if they're allowed to do so. So, like every collectivist government, you always think you can sacrifice the individual to get the outcome that you particularly want, which is what this socialist government is doing here in Australia. And it's got socialist connotations. That's the background of the Prime Minister. So individuals don't matter. But unless we get to the stage where we get rid of net zero and say gone, then you will not be able to attack the government because fundamentally you're in agreement with them. Once it's gone, you can say from every aspect of those three words the Nats came up with, which I thought were very good: cheaper, better, fairer. You can say, well, this is a cheaper way we'll get electricity. This is a fairer way we'll get electricity. This is a better way of achieving what's good for the country. There are so many opportunities to get in there and attack them. But they've got to be definitive about it and say, this is our position, now we're going forward.
So, Warren, One Nation seems to be cleaning up all those. There are a lot of people deserting the Liberal Party and heading over to One Nation. We've seen that in membership of One Nation. We've seen that in opinion polls, up to 15% for One Nation. Is it conceivable that the Liberal Party and the Nats can win those people back, and how do they do it?
Well, it is conceivable that they could win them back. But I've got to make a declaration. I work in the energy and mining industry, so I'm very much on a global stage, working out of Africa and Europe and Middle East. So I know how this global effect of net zero is working. And just to finish on that is people do talk about net zero overseas, but no one does anything about it because they've got gas, they got coal, they got nuclear power. Anyone who says about climate change and does not mention nuclear power in it, they're lying, they're fibbing. And all we're doing for this whole net zero thing is we're making millionaires multi-millionaires, we're making billionaires multi-billionaires, and that's all we're doing. The Australian public, the poor people of Australia, the ordinary citizen out there through their taxes is paying for all this mess, and this is a massive problem. So what we've got to do, what the Liberals have got to do, is actually they have got to drop the issue of net zero, because the fight is not going to finish if they don't do that. As Bronwyn said, it's going to continue and continue and continue, and it's death by 1,000 cuts. And when when you're having a communistic approach, like we want to fix things, so we have a meeting and then another meeting and then another meeting. All you do is, if you're trying to design a horse, you end up with a camel, and they're going to be so they. The people within the party are hungry for us to take it up to the Labor government, and they're starving for it. But they're being let down by the leadership, let down by this, and the leadership needs to get the cudgel out.
Absolutely. 2 seconds, Bronwyn.
Well, Warren, I think what we've seen is that there is an understanding in Australia growing that we cannot go on the way we are.
Absolutely.
We see that the facts coming out that more and more people say, pause, stop, let's have a mixture of sources.
You heard it from the rock stars there, Bronwyn and Warren. Abandon net zero. Thanks so much for coming on.